And welcome to this week's episode of Talk PR with Betty Abang, your weekly roundup of PR tips, hacks, and tricks of the trade. And I'm your host, Betty Abang, PR consultant. So on this week's episode of Talk PR with Betty Abang, we're going to be discussing how to build the right perception for your brand. Stay tuned. Alright, first off, you must understand how our perceptions formed. Now, and why is this topic important? You see, a lot of times, people say, oh, I'm selling the exact same product. However, my competitor is getting more sales even while selling at a higher price. And what's the reason for that? Half the time it's because of what we would usually say in our local parlance, packaging. Yes, so you can think of perception, building perception as packaging your brand or your business. So that's what determines to a large extent how you are perceived, the type of business, the type of deals that you even get. And also I hear with individuals or professionals or experts in certain fields, and they talk about how, oh, I'm not getting as much opportunities, oh, so and so person isn't even as experienced as I am, but he seems to be getting a lot of recognition, and now what is responsible for that is how you are perceived. So now we're going to get right down to how do you build the right perception for your brand. And number one I have here is what you say. What you say is important, because think about it. How do you begin to create a stereotype or an image of someone in your mind? Half the time it's usually when you begin to talk to the person, then you're able to situate the person. Okay, this person is smart, this person is intelligent, this person is an expert, and whatnot. So what you say matters. So you need to begin to consciously look at the content of your conversation. The content that you put out there will go a long way in driving what people perceive about you or your brand. Yes, secondly is how you say what you say. Now this is important because obviously you know that we have different categories of people. So who are your target audience? Right now, understanding who your target audiences are determines how you should speak to them. So I give you an instance. If you're going to be reaching the mass market, maybe not very educated persons, obviously you know that pidgin might be a better approach. So all of those things matter. So if you're always conversing in pidgin, you know that automatically people have a certain perception of your brand. Versus if you're speaking in Queen's English, you know the type of crowd that you're going to attract. So these are all the things that are going to shaping, the perception that people have of your brand. Of course, point 3 is where you say what you say. Yes, now this is very vital because a lot of times, now think about this. If you see me on CNN versus if you see me on which station now, say an LTV, those two channels, those two platforms, already shapes your perception of who the person is. Alright, so when you see someone on CNN, you begin to have that vibe that, this person must be international, right? Versus if you see someone in a local media. And then we'll also understand that media are divided into tiers. So you have your tier 1, your tier 2, your high tier, top tier, and then you have your low tier. So now depending on how you want to be perceived, so where you're being talked about matters, right? So it's not just enough that, people are talking about you. Where you're being talked about is also a very vital point, something that you should look into and then curate it in such a way that you are appearing in the platforms or in the media that you want to be perceived in, right? And then point 4 is who you are seen with. I'm sure a number of us can relate with this, yes, because that's why you have people going for events, or you see a celebrity and then you're quickly snapping a photo with a celebrity. Yes, who are you seen with? That goes a long way. It helps people place who you are and what you do. Colors help people to identify or situate who you are or what you're trying to communicate. In essence, colors, the color you choose to appear in, even the color of your logo and all whatnot, right, says a message about who you are. So it's important to note that. And then how you write or how you communicate. Yes, that's a good indication. It helps people place who you are. So how do you write? When I read your writing, which is very similar to how you talk or what you say, so those are very similar. And then of course what you wear. Yes, I know I talked about colors previously, but colors in that sense is all encompassing. So it has to do with things like the color of your website, the color of your Instagram feed, the color of your logo, your call cards, all of those type of things, and of course the color of the clothes you wear. Now, what you wear, right? It's a very big way of communicating who you are, right? So, I mean, you have outfits that say, oh, slutty, sorry, and then you have outfits that say, oh, I'm responsible, I'm respectable. So you decide, okay, how do I want to be perceived? Do I want to be perceived as an expert, or do I want to be perceived? So whatever works for you. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. You just need to define for yourself how you want to be perceived, who you want to be known as, and then of course project yourself accordingly. And of course, and that's it. I mean, this is not an exhaustive list, but I've just run through, all of the different things you need to put into consideration when you're trying to build the right perception for your brand. And half the time, this will determine if you're successful, or you get the type of attention, or you get the type of recognition that you're looking for. So I hope that you've learned something new today. Thank you for tuning in. It's Talk PR with Betty Abang, and I'm your host, Betty Abang, and this show runs every Thursdays on IGTV. So share, like, and watch. Thank you.